Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you live from beautiful Victoria on the west coast of Canada. I hope that all of you have had a great week and you are looking forward to this fantastic weekend. I hope you're having a great weekend. For many of you, it has already started. Students, in this class, we are looking at an IELTS speaking part 2, the cue card, the long part. Welcome Zarina, welcome to our members. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch. It's a good idea to watch because a little bit later we will have a speaking part 3 class where everybody will be able to join the chat. Today's example cue card, part 2, will be focusing on some merchandise or some goods or services that you are planning to buy. So we'll look at that cue card in just a few moments and then talk about planning and strategy and how to get the best score possible on this very important part of the speaking section interview. Hi, Baljit. Yes, I'm back in my set studio, so you've noticed that, Baljit and Zarina. All right, everyone. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. Those are the websites that we use to give you these lessons on YouTube. They're kind of like the textbooks for these live classes. So to join our premium IELTS package, click this big red button that's just right above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are IDP affiliates, British Council partners, and IELTS test registration center. So you are in great hands with us for your learning. We help thousands of students every day to improve and succeed for the IELTS exam. This is the general IELTS version of our materials. Click this big red button there to join our premium IELTS package. And when you do that, when you click these red buttons, then you can use the code from our most recent video. It's practice 9. We just released a new speaking interview practice video on YouTube about 30 minutes ago, and you'll see this code in that video as well. It's called practice 9, and that will get you a 20% discount when you join the premium course, so check that out. Students, we do have apps that connect with the website. You can learn using the apps on your mobile as well. To get our apps, visit your app store and get Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. Link the app to the website. So Academic IELTS Help will link to aehelp.com. General IELTS Help will link to gieltshelp.com. So you can learn anywhere on the go. Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp for academic, GIELTS Help. That's where we post vocabulary, a lot of useful materials, short videos. Of course, these are all free materials for you, and our schedule for these YouTube classes. So to know when we are having live classes on YouTube or on some other platforms, make sure to subscribe to YouTube, get the notifications, and see us on Instagram. For emails, Adrian at aehelp.com. That's where you can send us an email. Okay, students, so we've had a kind of an interesting schedule this week. It's being mostly the same as usual with the exception of one class, members. But don't worry, members, we will be doing some additional classes later in August, okay? So I know, members, that you're looking at these schedules and you're going, hey, wait a second, there's a little bit less members classes this week. And you'll see that we'll have one less class next week as well for members, but then after that, we're going to have some extra classes and then we'll get back to our regular schedule. So it's just a little bit of a summertime change. I'm doing a bit of traveling here and there with the family, so that's why you'll see some slight changes in the schedule. So again, today we have IELTS Speaking Part 2, Speaking Part 3. I did notice, members, the timing for the next class says, it says 14 o'clock Universal Time, but it's actually going to be 14:30 Universal Time. So I'll change that after this class. And then, so today we have Speaking Part 2, Speaking Part 3. And then next week, we're actually going to have our first class on Wednesday. So we'll have a Wednesday class, Speaking Part 1. And then we'll have a Thursday class. We'll actually have 2 classes on Thursday. And then we'll have 1 class on Friday and no class on Saturday. So I'm just moving back the classes by 1. So really pay attention to the schedule. And then the week after, we'll have our regular schedule plus an extra day of classes to catch up, and we'll have an extra members chat class there as well. Okay, so pay attention to that. Baljeet, this class is a members chat class. After that, it's an everyone chat class. Okay, and then next week on Wednesday, we'll have a Speaking Part 1 for everyone. And then on Thursday, we'll have a reading class for members earlier. So pay attention to the schedule. Just a few changes this coming week, and then after that, we'll be returning to our regular schedule as usual. Okay, so with that administrative note out of the way, let me get this a little bit smaller so you can see that a little bit better. There we go. Okay. Let's get into some of our Speaking Part 2 topic here. All right. Okay, everyone. So IELTS Speaking Part 2. So the IELTS Speaking section, we do a lot of speaking exercises in our live classes. It's because it's one of the most challenging parts of the IELTS exam is the speaking. It's real time. It's probably the most stressful because you're doing this one-on-one with an IELTS examiner. You have to actually talk to another person. If you get or if you make a mistake, it feels like, you know, you're being judged, but you're not really. I mean, you're always, it's an exam, right? So they're there to judge you, but it's nothing personal. So don't feel too nervous. The examiner is just there to do a job as well. All right, so first of all, step 1, read the card very carefully. Okay, going off topic is a bad idea. You'll get a low mark. Okay, so you're in the IELTS speaking section and the examiner goes, that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will ask you some questions. You will see some questions on a card. You will have 1 minute to prepare your answers. You can take notes in the 1 minute if you wish. And then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start, when to stop. Talk about an item that you plan to buy in the future. Okay, so here you get the card, or you get these questions, and your step 1 is to read it super duper carefully. Okay, so talk about an item that you plan to buy in the future. What is it? Where do you plan to buy it? What do you need to do in order to buy this object? Why have you decided to purchase this item? What are the alternatives if you do not purchase this item? So what is it? Where do you plan to buy it? What do you need to do in order to buy this object? Why have you decided to purchase this item? What are the alternatives if you do not purchase this item? Okay, so we've looked at the card carefully. We have an idea of what's going on. Now we go to step 2. Step 2. What is it, members? What do we do in step 2? So we've got a few members in here now. You can contribute. Zarina, Baljit, Prabhu, nice to see you in here. Haven't seen you in a while. Lamia, Sanjay, what do we do? So we read the card. We're starting to think about this. It took us maybe 10 seconds. Baljit says, make some notes. Not yet. Hi, Ghazi. You're not making notes yet. Not quite yet. Baljit says 3 options. Okay, that's going to be before the notes, so you're going backwards, Baljit. Lamia says, identify the subject. Yeah, so here, identify, this is very important. So identify the category and the tense. Okay, so of the question. So this is a two-part step, and it's very important. Okay, so here, A, identify the category, and B, identify the tense. Okay, it's very important, and you'll notice that this question's a little bit unique in this sense. So here we're talking about an object. Yeah, Baljit says, oh, how did I forget that? Yeah, you just have to train your brain to do this, okay? So object, when we talk about an object, we talk about its appearance. What does it look like, right? We talk about its origin. Where does it come from? We talk about its use or function. How do you use it, right? Well, I should say use. And then we talk about its function, right? So what it does for you, right? And then you can talk about your experience with the object. Okay, so appearance, origin, use, function, experience. When you talk about these and you give 1 sentence for appearance, 1 sentence for origin, and then you give a couple sentences for the use, a couple sentences for function and experience, you're going to basically answer the card. You will have good structure and you will get a good band score. Okay, so think about this in this order. So it has to be first appearance, then second the origin. So kind of keep this order. Okay, more or less you want to stick to the same order. For those of you watching, you're going to see what I mean by this, and you definitely want to follow along because part 3 will be connected to this. Okay, experience. So this will lead to good structure, it will lead to good fluency, and more or less answering the cue card. Okay, so the tense. Yeah, Sanjay, very good. It's future tense, right? You notice that. Good for you. So notice here it says talk about an item that you plan to buy in the future, right? So here it's an item, so you're talking about an object, and it says plan to buy in the future. So you don't have it yet. Okay, so you're thinking about the future. All right, yeah, so tense is future. and using will, going to, or maybe even a little bit of gonna. It's okay to use that, okay? And you might use some future perfect. You might use something like will have. Okay? You might even use some future perfect passive, like will have been. All right, so think about those. Grammatical range and grammatical accuracy will get you a higher band score. Okay? Now that we're clear on this, and again, when you practice this does not take time. This happens in a matter of a few seconds because you know what to do when you get an object. You know what tense the question is when you look at the question carefully. And so you don't need to spend a lot of time thinking about this. It's just in your head and you immediately jump to step 3. So think about it this way, everyone. So step 1, 2, and 3 should only take 15 seconds of the 1 minute preparation time. That's what you're focused on, okay? So 15 seconds. All right, so step 3. Now, Baljeet, think of 2 to 3 options. Think of 2 to 3 options to choose from. Come up with original ideas. Come up with ideas that are easy to talk about. And come up with ideas that you can talk about quite a bit. So lots of content. Okay, so give me some ideas of some objects that you are thinking to purchase. Okay. Ghazi, that's a good question. We're going to do this. Okay, Ghazi says Hyundai Santa Fe 2022. Okay, I think it might be difficult to talk about it, maybe, but you never know. You might have lots of information on it, Ghazi. Okay. Now, Ghazi, notice that Sanjay also said car and then a new apartment. Difficult to talk about, Sanjay. Okay. Lamia, a flat. So, Ghazi, it's an object you plan to buy. You have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about it. What might happen if you choose a car or a flat? So notice how apartment. Okay. So these ones so far are complicated to talk about. And look, several of you are saying the same. So when you have, like, you know, out of all the members here, you have several members right away saying car and apartment. It seems to be a very popular answer. So you might not want to, sometimes when you think about the first idea for a question like this one, and you're coming up with car and flat, really think about it. It might not be a good choice. Maybe a lot of other people are coming up with it too. So here's just a piece of advice, tip. For this question, I would not choose car, computer, phone, or flat, as these are popular questions. And you will not sound as original. Also, what do you think might happen? So if you decide to talk about a car or a computer or a phone, and because these are popular questions, What could happen with this situation? And, I think it's a little bit difficult to guess, so I'm going to tell you, okay? So you will not sound as original. Also, you may get compared with some very high level candidates that day. Okay. IELTS examiners, they're not supposed to compare you to other candidates. Okay. So, but it's very difficult to do if you have the same topic. Like, let's say that there's an IELTS exam. I go into the IELTS exam. I talk about buying a car in the future. And then, Ghazi, you go into the IELTS exam 20 minutes later, and you talk about buying a car in the future. Now, this could go one of two ways. Maybe I did not do a very good job talking about buying a car in the future, and that might make you sound a little bit better, right? Of course, the examiner doesn't want to compare you, but as a human, it's extremely impossible, or extremely difficult. Impossible might be a good word here, because let's say that the examiner gave me a band 6. Well, if you sound better than me, obviously he's going to most likely give you a better score. If you sound the same as me or worse than me, then obviously he's going to give you a lower score, right? So when we're talking about the same topic, it's extremely difficult for the examiner not to have some kind of comparison to that previous student who chose the same idea, right? So it could go one of two ways. It could work to your advantage or disadvantage. But if you have a more original idea, like you're not talking about phones and cars or apartments, then there's a better chance that you're going to get a higher score, because the examiner will go, oh, okay, here's a new idea, and the person's kind of doing a good job. They don't have a point of comparison. Okay, Ghazi says, I got it. We need to think outside the box about unique ideas. Yeah, so it should be original, but not difficult to talk about. Okay. All right. Rajveer Singh says, a 7-seater sofa set. Okay. All right. So 7-seat sofa sets. Sure. Okay, so give me some original ideas. This is where you want to think carefully. Zarina, you're saying new smartphone, but you probably realize that I just talked about not choosing something like a new smartphone. Baljit says a soldering station. Okay, I like it because you're an engineer and you like, okay, soldering. So yeah, soldering stations, sure. Okay. James Newman, wooden table. Sure, yeah. A wood table. Yeah, it seems simple, but a wood table could be plenty enough to talk about for 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so a wood dining table. Okay. That could be a very good idea. It seems like, oh, well, can I talk about a wood table for 1 to 2 minutes? Absolutely. If you think about, its appearance, its origin, its use, its function, its your experience with it, I'm sure you could talk about a dining room table. I know I can for even more than 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, Ghazi says, twin bed for my younger son. Very good, Ghazi. That might be a much better idea. Twin bed for my younger son. Yeah, I think that is going to be a better idea than talking about a car. It's more original. So you're noticing that furniture is a pretty good one. We often plan to buy furniture, so that's very good. Okay, let's go with one of these. So let's go with the dining room table. So furniture can also be a little bit tricky. Beds have some unique vocabulary as well, but still easier than a car, I think. Okay, so let's go with a wooden table. Okay, so step 4, once you have 3 good ideas, is to pick one and go, okay, this idea is good. I can talk about this. I'm going to sound original. It will make sense. I'm not going to get stuck for ideas. And I can deliver a very clear speech for 1 to 2 minutes and with a good structure to the examiner. Then you take some useful notes, okay? All right, so let's talk about this wood dining table. All right. And then, by the way, members, I will be calling you, so volunteers, so you can talk about your other ideas during the practice part of this class, okay? So once we finish this in about 5 to 10 minutes for this response, then afterwards I will connect with you through the website, and you will be able to give me your own answers, okay, based on this kind of concept. Okay, so Gunkai Ren, Lamia, Sanjay, Ghazi, everybody, just hang in there, and you'll get a chance. Just make sure to volunteer. Welcome Yunju to our group of members. Sunanta, welcome to our group of members. Okay, so here we go. First, the appearance. What does this table look like? Okay, what does a table look like? Now, of course, when you're doing this in the real IELTS, do not write down appearance. You might write down just like the letter A to remind you that you have to talk about the appearance. Don't spend too much time on the appearance. Just a little bit of time so the person gets a good idea. Okay, so I'm going to say it's made of pine. So what kind of table, right? What kind of wood is this table made out of? Different parts of the world, you have different kinds of wood. You might have tiki, you might have cherry, you might have something else. Oak, I'm going to go with pine. It's a pine table. Okay, pine table, rectangle, 8 seats. Okay, rectangle, if that's a new word for you, so this is a rectangle, okay, as opposed to a square. This is a square, okay, and you might say that, hey, I want an oval, so this would be an oval. It's kind of rounded, okay, and of course you might have a round table like that as well, okay. Depends on culture and style and space. Okay, so I'm going to go with rectangular. Baljit says 4 legs. Sure. And I would probably go one step further, Baljit, and say 4 thick legs. Okay. All right. Light brown, maybe the color, and maybe a simple design, right? Modern, simple design. Okay, so that's the appearance. Origin, where will you get it from? Okay, so here, when you think about the origin, think about where does this table come from? Where do you plan to buy it? And also think about the cost, right? So Ghazi, yeah, it might have a glass surface. Okay, Sanjay, it's not a glass floor, it's a glass surface, it's a glass top. Okay, you don't say, we usually just say glass top. Okay. That's all you need, glass top. You don't need to say glass on top. You don't need to say glass floor. You don't need to say glass surface. You just need to say glass top. Okay, that's it. All right. Okay, again, don't spend too much time on the appearance, just 1 or 2 sentences, okay? Mal says a store called Pottery Barn. Yeah. Furniture store, now you don't need to write down furniture store, but you might write down the name of it, which is Pottery Barn, sure. Okay. Here in Canada, one of the big chains that we have is called The Brick. Okay, so one of those, right? You have the name, and think about it this way. So 10 km, maybe delivery. You don't want to pick it up. Okay, and let's say it costs $500. Okay, again, appearance, origin, don't spend much time on it. Okay, use. What do you use it for? For eating, conversation, homework for the kids maybe. Okay. Now here, I am confusing the use of it with the function. So this should actually be the function for eating. Use, when you think about use, you should always think about how do you use it, right? So how do we use a table? Okay. Well, maybe we have a dining room, so it's in dining room. Okay. You sit around it with the family and guests. Okay. And that's how we use it, right? So with a table, the use is fairly simple. Again, I probably wouldn't spend too much time on it. Okay. So for eating, conversation, homework for kids, and maybe it's spacious, right? So you need to upgrade. You had a smaller one. Okay. Now, before we really run out of time here, look at the card. Look at the card, right? Make sure that we answer all the questions. Experience is still coming, but it's a good idea to look at the card. So what is it? Yep, check. Okay, so here, if I'm looking at this card in my mind right now, I'm going, okay, so what is it? Check. Okay, talk about an item that you plan to buy in the future. So check, I'm planning to buy a table in the future. Where do you plan to buy it? Okay, I've got the store in mind, the cost, check. What do you need to do in order to buy this object? Why have you decided to buy this object? What are the alternatives? So here, I don't have that, I don't have that, and I don't have that. Okay, so I've got the first 3 figured out nice and fast, but I don't have these last 3 parts of my cue card. Okay. So I want to, well, I have a little bit of what do you need? The money, right? Okay, so I want to make sure that I answer these. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of information. Money, space, time, logistics. That's what I need. Okay. And then the next question is, why did I decide to buy it? Bigger family. So I need more space. Alternative, get another table. Or get a kid's table. Okay, that could be the alternative, just on the fly. All right, so I have all of my notes, and if I don't have as many notes as this in the 1 minute, it's okay. As long as I have these ideas and I have at least some of these notes, I should be fine. Okay, I should be fine for that 1 to 2 minutes talking time. Okay, so remember to look at the card, and when you're speaking, remember to look at the notes. Okay. Ghazi, use and function are not the same. Use is kind of like how do you use it. Now with the table, it's so clear, okay, that it's usually the same. Although not always. Like think about it this way, Ghazi. So let me explain this so that everybody gets this clearly. So use means like the instruction manual. Okay. Function means the purpose of the object. Okay. So let me give you a little bit of an idea here, okay, so that you get this clearly, Ghazi. Okay, so dining room table in Japan versus dining room table in the UK. Okay. Okay, so if you've ever visited Japan and you've visited a family there, you will often see that they sit around low tables and they sit on cushions on the tatamis. In the UK, you sit around the table in chairs, in dining room chairs. So the use of the table in Japan and in some East Asian countries is slightly different than the use of a table in the UK. Okay. Sanjay says, really? Yeah, really. So Sanjay, if you were an examiner in Japan, you would be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So the use is a little bit different. The way you use a table in Japan is a little bit different than in the UK. So again, a table is a very simple object, so it's kind of a simple idea of how to use it, but it's different. So think about the usage. Okay, when you talk about something more complex, like let's say a smartwatch, right? The smartwatch will have more details. So when you're talking about technology, the use, there will be more details on how to use it. For example, if we took Baljit's idea, so Baljit said that he wants to buy a soldering station. I think it might be soldering with a D. Soldering, there we go. I think it's a soldering station, like that, what you're talking about, right, Baljit? So a soldering station, you would definitely spend a couple sentences explaining to the examiner the way to use it. So you want to buy a soldering station. A soldering station is used by heating it up and then melting metal to create electrical circuit boards. So a soldering station, you would think more about the use of it, right? It's a little bit trickier. Okay, so that's the concept of use. It was a good question, Ghazi. Okay, all right, all right. That's right, Baljeet. Yeah, it's soldering, but it's pronounced soldering. Yeah. Okay, so now that we have all of our notes, we still have another step, hopefully before our 1 minute time runs out. Okay, step 5 is to have your first sentence ready. So get your first sentence ready for the examiner so that when the examiner says, okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up, please begin speaking. Okay, then you can start right away. Okay. All right, so here, what I would do is I would have my first sentence ready. And my first sentence will reflect the topic question, okay? And the grammar. All right, so here the topic question for this cue card is talk about an item that you plan to buy in the future. All right, so here my first sentence then would be within the next 2 to 3 months, I am going to purchase a new dining room table. Okay, so notice the answer reflects, okay, the question. And right away, I'm using numbers. Next 2 to 3 months, right? When? Let's give the examiner a clear picture right away. Buy, I'm doing a little bit of paraphrasing here. Purchase. Okay, it doesn't have to be super fancy to get those high band scores. Just some slight paraphrasing like that will get you vocabulary marks, coherence marks, and will get you that higher band score. Okay, so within the next 2 to 3 months, I'm going to purchase a new dining room table. Notice how I didn't mention that it would be a large table with 8 seats. So I didn't make this first sentence complicated because all I want to do in this first sentence is show the examiner that I read this cue card carefully. I know that I'm using the future tense. I know that I'm talking about one item that is in my mind that I want to buy. Okay. Baljeet, very good. So Baljeet says, I would love to purchase a dining room table in the upcoming months. Ghazi says, the item I would buy in the next month is a new dining room table. Rodriguez says, an item that I am planning to purchase in the near future is a wooden dining table. Absolutely. So try to use, now sometimes it's a little bit, it's tricky to get the future participle in there. I have it here. I am going to, okay. So definitely try to get that will, going to into your first few sentences so that the examiner is like, okay, or the will have been, okay? So this new table will be able to seat 8 people. It will be rectangular in shape and made of pine so that it is durable and beautiful. Okay, So now I am literally, and this is where it gets nice and easy if you have good notes and good thinking, I'm just going through the notes, right? So A, B, C, and I'm thinking about the reasons. So A, appearance, pine, rectangular, 8 seats, thick legs. If I forget some points, like if I forget about the 4 thick legs, it's okay. I can maybe include that if I have more time at the end. What's important is that I get all of this done, and this is a reminder, I think, from last week for some of you. So what's really important is that all of this information, you have to say it in 90 seconds. Okay? So you need to get it in. So don't get stuck on appearance, okay? Or don't get stuck on origin. Go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now that you're in that 90 seconds, you can use more time to expand after. Okay. Zarina, yeah, you could say that. You could say tomorrow I'm going to buy a dining room table. Sure. And it doesn't have to be the truth in the IELTS, okay? Sanjay says, in the following month, I am going to replace my small dining room table with a much larger one. Okay, so Sanjay, don't complicate the answer. Yes, Serena, I've got eyeballs everywhere. Absolutely. Okay, so origin. Okay, let's go through, especially A and O here, the appearance and the origin. We want to go through those quickly. Okay. So, after having done a bit of research, I'm gonna buy this table from a furniture store called The Brick, which is about a 10-minute drive from my home. I will have it delivered since it will have been too big to fit in my car. Okay, yeah, throw a little present, or not present, I should say future perfect in there. Why not? It's expectations. So I will have it delivered. I will have it delivered is passive. Will have it delivered by. Okay, so watch the nice grammar there. Since it will have been too big to fit in my car. Now, if you don't know that, you can simplify it and you can say, since it will be too big to fit in my car, okay? But will have been is nice because it's showing expectation. All right, lots of future tense. So I know that some of you learn this strategy of past, present, future for part 2. But it's not the best strategy for a lot of questions. This question is about the future. So most of your language should be using the future form. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's the origin. All right. Now the use. So this table will go into the center of my dining room, which is adjacent to the kitchen, and my family and guests will sit around it in chairs. for multiple reasons. And then we can go into its function. Multiple reasons, such as eating, of course, having good discussions, playing board games, and maybe even some work. Okay. All right. So far so good. I've done the appearance, I've done the origin, a little bit about the use, some quick information about the function of the table. And now I might be going like, oh, okay, what do I say? I'm going to start repeating myself. Oh no, I still have like so much time. I've only been speaking for like 30 seconds. Look at the card. Okay, look at the card in the notes. Okay, remember this card has a few unique questions. You have to answer those questions, okay? What do you need to get this table, right? So in order for me to get this table, I will need to take a few steps. First, I have to get rid of our current table by either gifting it to some friends or taking it to recycling. Then I will have to call the brick and place the order for the new table. And pay. Okay, that's what you need. All right. The reason that we have decided to make this upgrade is because our family has grown over the past couple of years with the birth of our daughter, and we need more space for comfort. If I am not able to buy this table soon, I will need to get a kids table so that we can eat comfortably. All right. Okay, so I've got my answer. It should be about 90 seconds to say all of this nice and fluently, right? And then one really good strategy to signal to the examiner that you're finished and they can stop you if they want, so that it feels comfortable. Now, before you do this, make sure to check the card. Make sure that you really did answer all of the questions, okay? And then you can go and look at the topic question one more time. So talk about an item that you plan to buy in the future, and use that to conclude what you're saying. Okay, check it out. Look at how I will do this. Okay. However, this should not be the situation, because I have already decided on the table that I will buy from looking at the options online from this store. Okay. So I kind of go back to that original idea that, okay, I'm going to buy this table in the next 2-3 months, and it's not going to be a problem because I already started this process. So I already started looking at the options, and that will tell the examiner that, oh, okay, they answered all the questions. They're going back to kind of the original question here of an object that you're going to buy. So a good strategy for the cue card to have a complete answer without being interrupted is to start with the topic sentence and end with the topic sentence. Does that make sense, everybody? So here's a really good, we could call it a trick, if you will. Okay. Start by answering the topic sentence, think about it as a question, of the cue card, and end by reflecting. It's kind of like an essay, introduction, conclusion, right? They're not the same, but they're similar, right? And end by reflecting on the topic, sentence, question. Okay? That kind of makes sense, right? And then the examiner goes, oh, okay, they've finished what they're saying, and they'll stop you there. Okay? All right. So let's take a look at the question. Again, let's practice the answer, and then members, you will have a chance to answer this question as well. So talk about an item that you plan to buy in the future. What is it? Where do you plan to buy it? What do you need to do in order to buy this object? Why have you decided to purchase this item? What are the alternatives if you do not purchase this item? Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. Within the next 2 to 3 months, I'm going to purchase a new dining room table. This table will be able to seat 8 people. It will be rectangular in shape and made of pine so that it is durable and beautiful. After having done a bit of research, I'm going to buy this table from a furniture store called The Brick, which is about a 10-minute drive from my home. I will have it delivered since it will have been too big to fit in my car. This table will go into the center of my dining room, which is adjacent to the kitchen, and my family and guests will sit around it in chairs for multiple reasons, such as eating, of course, having good discussions, playing board games, and maybe even some work. In order for me to get this table, I will need to take a few steps. First, I have to get rid of our current table by either gifting it to some friends or taking it to recycling. Then I will have to call The Brick and place the order for the new table and pay. The reason that we have decided to make this upgrade is because our family has grown over the past couple of years with the birth of our daughter, and we need more space for comfort. And if I'm not able to buy the table soon, I will need to get a kids table so that we can eat comfortably. However, this should not be the situation because I already decided on the table that I will buy looking at the website options from this store. Okay, your time is up. I will now continue with part 3. For this part, I will ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk about purchasing items. Okay, so that's how it works, everybody. That's kind of, part 2 in a nutshell, okay? But it's practice, and here we're focusing on talking about an object. Remember, there are different ways to talk about people. There are different ways to talk about places, about ideas, events, so make sure to practice all of those. Let's practice this one by speaking, and I see we have some new members in the class. So Yunju, Min, and Sunanta, make sure you do this as well. So you can now practice your cue card part 2 with me. Okay, the way to do this is go to our website, aehelp.com. Create an account if you don't have one. Okay, I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And then once you have an account or once you logged in, go to Student Partner Speaking. Enable your microphone, so when the website or when your browser says, do you want to allow this website to use your microphone, you need to say yes. Okay, I won't be able to hear you. Then look for my handle, Master. It'll be a blue envelope, and send me a message. I want to volunteer. I will send you back a message. I will ping you. Okay. Let me show you this specifically. So we go to the website. You can click on this big red button to get the premium package. It's basically the textbook for these live classes. We use it all the time. Or you can click on this, try demo, up to you. Both will have this function. So once you do that, you have a My Student account. When you are in your My Student account, you will see a computer-based practice exam, full course, exam books, and you will also see this function here. On the side, or if you're on the mobile phone, it'll be a little bit lower. It's the Student Partner Speaking. Okay, click on that. Accept the terms. Okay, that means that you are going to speak politely. You're responsible for your speech. And then you will be in this interface, and lots of people are using it these days, which is nice to see. So we have Ghazi, Prabhu, Brajesh, Sumaya, Kumoyan Beck, Domenico, Zoraida. And this is a members chat class. So members, you get first chance to speak with me. Sanantha, I see that you're in here. So you just have to send me a message, students. You just have to click the blue envelope, Master, and send me a message that says, I want to practice or let me volunteer. Brajesh, if you are a member, please let me know in the chat, because I don't know who all of our members are. But if you're in the YouTube lesson and you're a member, then type something into the chat, okay? Baljit, I see that you're in here, and Ghazi, I see that you're in here as well. Sunantha, good, I see that you volunteered. Sunantha, would you like to try this part too? Okay, so let's see if Sunantha, one of our newer members here, is up for the challenge. And again, no pressure, students. It's meant to be enjoyable. It's meant for learning. Yeah, everybody's just, you know, support each other. Hi, Sanantha. Hello, Sanantha.
Hello.
Hi, Sanantha. I can hear you.
Hi.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Thank you for volunteering. Hello? I can hear you, Sanantha, loud and clear.
Hello.
I'm here.
Hello.
Sanantha, I think your speaker's not
Hello,
working.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I can hear you. You need to check your speaker or headset. Can you hear me?
Hello มันไม่ได้ยินอ่ะมันต้องไปตั้งอะไรสักอย่าง Hello.
Okay, so I can hear you. It's definitely on your end, and I'm sure everybody else can hear me as well.
Hello, sir. ไม่ได้ยินอ่ะ
Okay. I'm going to hang up there, Sanantha. So, Sanantha, check the chat here. So I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Your mic is fine. You need to check your speakers. Okay. Check out your speakers and then see what's going on there. I'll come back to you. Okay. Let me try with Ghazi here. Let's see if Ghazi's ready. Okay, and hopefully it should work because I can hear everybody, and I'm sure my microphone works because you've been listening to me. Hi, Ghazi.
Hello.
Hi, Ghazi. How are you?
Hello.
Okay, maybe you can't hear me for some reason. Let me just check. Ghazi.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. I'm fine.
Okay, maybe you can't hear me for some reason. Let me just
Okay,
check.
Ghazi. Hello.
How are you?
Hello. I'm fine.
Okay, maybe you can't hear me for some reason.
Hello,
Let me
Adrian.
just check. Hi,
Hello.
Ghazi. Can you turn YouTube off
Hello.
so we're
I'm
not getting
fine.
this
Okay,
feedback?
maybe
You can't hear me for some reason.
Hello, Adrian. Is it okay? Are you
Hi,
hearing
Ghazi.
me now?
Can you turn YouTube off?
Okay,
So we're not
just
getting this
one
feedback?
second. Hello, Adrian.
Hi, Ghazi. Can you hear me right now?
Hello.
Okay, just a second. Might be a mic setting on my end. Okay. Okay, can you hear me right now, Ghazi?
Hello, Adrian.
I'll have to check my microphone. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, you do hear me now?
Hello, Adrian.
Oh, it's because you're listening to me through YouTube.
I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, you do hear me now?
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Ghazi. I'm going to, sorry, guys and girls. I'm going to check this out. It seems like there's something strange going on with my microphone, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to troubleshoot it in the next couple minutes. And then, yeah, Gunkai Ren, there's lots of echoes because YouTube was going on Ghazi's end there. So I'm going to just check my microphone and check the settings there. I'm not sure what might have happened with it. And then we will practice maybe a bit of this part 2 at the start of the next class. So we're going to have speaking part 3 coming up in the next class, okay, which will follow from speaking part 2. So I will do a little bit of practice with speaking part 2 next class as well, and then we'll connect it to part 3. So next class will start in about 45 minutes, and that will give me enough time to check what's going on with the microphone, because you can hear it on YouTube, but you can't hear it through the computer. So it's got to be something strange in the settings, but I'll check it out. Everybody can hear me right now, okay? Yeah? So Ghazi, Baljit, Sunantha, can you hear me okay through YouTube? Should be able to, right? Okay, yeah. So you're hearing me through YouTube, but you're not hearing me through the computer, which is kind of strange. I will check that out and we'll get back to you, okay? So until then, maybe just practice part 2 on your own, and then I will give some of our members and some of our viewers some chances for part 2 as well as part 3 in the next class. So until then, just check out the website, check out the Student Partner Speaking, and practice with each other. Make sure that your microphone and your speaker is working on your end with some other students. And I'll be back in 40 minutes with speaking part 3, okay? And then we'll practice together. How does that sound? Does that sound good? I'll make sure that everything works on my end for that, not just through YouTube, but through the computer speaker as well, okay? All right, so members, again, thank you for joining me in this class, and hopefully I'll see you in 40 minutes, and then we'll continue with speaking part 3. James, it's not in 20 minutes. It's going to be a little bit later, okay? So I'm going to adjust the time. That was a mistake on my end, the 7th, so it'll be a little bit later, James. It'll be 50 minutes from now, so it'll be UTC 14:30, okay? All right, everybody. So thank you for hanging out with me in this class. Sorry about that little technical issue on my end. Sanantha, hang in there. I'll be looking for you, and I'll be looking for Ghazi for a part 2 start at the beginning of next class. Okay, so if you're listening to me, make sure to come back and volunteer again, and then Sanantha, you'll be the first up. Okay. All right, everybody. That's it for right now, but I will be back soon with speaking part 3 and a working microphone, I promise you. Okay. All right. See you shortly. Bye.